What if I told you that in less than a decade, every secret you've ever sent online, every private message, every financial transaction, every whispered confession could be cracked open like a walnut by a machine that doesn't even exist for most of us today? Now, what if I told you that the solution to that terrifying reality isn't a better password or a smarter piece of software, but a law of the universe itself? A law that can make a secret so perfect, so absolute, that the very act of spying on it would cause it to vanish into thin air. This isn't science fiction. This is the story of the quantum internet, the dawn of a new age where privacy is no longer a promise, but a physical guarantee. And it's a story that begins not with a bang, but with a single, fragile particle of light. July 2025. In a quiet, sterile lab in the Austrian Alps, a scientist holds her breath, her eyes fixed on a monitor displaying a complex cascade of data. Thousands of miles away, across the vast, dark expanse of the Atlantic Ocean, her counterpart at the University of Waterloo in Canada does the same. Between them, orbiting silently in the vacuum of space, a specialized satellite pivots with microscopic precision. Then, it happens. A pulse of light, encoded with information at the quantum level, is beamed up from Europe, caught by the satellite, and relayed down to North America. The message itself is simple, perhaps just a string of cryptographic keys. But its arrival is anything but. It marks the first successful intercontinental transmission of a quantum-encoded message. For the first time in human history, information has crossed an ocean in a state that is physically, fundamentally, and absolutely unhackable. Let's be clear about what this means. This isn't just a faster connection or a more complex encryption algorithm. This is a paradigm shift in what communication is. For centuries, our security has been based on making locks that are too hard to pick. We create mathematical puzzles, like the RSA encryption that protects your credit card information, that are so complex they would take a conventional computer thousands of years to solve. But we've always known, deep down, that a cleverer thief or a more powerful computer could one day break them. This breakthrough is different. It's like sending a letter written on a soap bubble. If anyone tries to intercept it, to even gently touch it to see what's inside, the bubble pops, and the message is gone forever. The sender and receiver would know instantly that someone was listening. This isn't a man-made lock. It's a law of nature. Humanity, on that quiet July day, took its first step into a new world, an age where privacy is guaranteed not by code, but by the cosmos. To truly grasp the magnitude of that moment, we have to rewind the clock just a little. We have to look at the world we live in right now, a world standing on the precipice of a total privacy collapse. Think about the year 2024. It was a digital bloodbath. Not millions, not hundreds of millions, but billions of personal records were stolen, exposed, and sold on the dark web. Social security numbers, medical histories, private conversations, intimate photos, the very fabric of our identities leaked from the databases of corporations and governments we were told to trust. The global cost of cybercrime soared into the trillions, an invisible tax on our digital existence. This was the era of surveillance capitalism. Our every click, every search, every like was harvested by corporations to build psychological profiles of us more detailed than we could ever build of ourselves. Governments, under the guise of national security, erected vast digital dragnets, monitoring conversations on a global scale. We accepted this as the price of convenience. We traded our privacy for free email and cute cat videos. And all the while, a storm was gathering on the horizon. The rise of quantum computing. These weren't just faster versions of the computers on our desks. They were entirely new kinds of machines that thought in the language of quantum mechanics, the strange and wonderful rules that govern atoms and particles. For a quantum computer, the mathematical locks of our entire digital world, the RSA and EC encryption standards, are not a mighty fortress wall. They are a picket fence, easily hopped over. Experts warned that Q-Day, the day a quantum computer becomes powerful enough to shatter our existing encryption, was no longer a distant threat. It was imminent. Our global financial systems, our military communications, our government secrets, everything was built on a foundation of sand, and the tide was coming in. Humanity was in a desperate race, not just for better security, but for a new foundation for digital trust itself. We needed a miracle. That miracle arrived under the unassuming name of the Hyperspace Project. It was an ambitious collaboration, a bridge of minds between the brilliant quantum physicists at the University of Waterloo's Institute for Quantum Computing and their equally brilliant colleagues at the Austrian Academy of Sciences. Their goal wasn't just to send a quantum message across a lab or even a city that had been done. Their goal was intercontinental. Their ambition was to prove that a truly global, unhackable internet was not just a theoretical dream, but an engineering reality. They harnessed two of the most mind-bending concepts in physics: quantum key distribution coquette and photon entanglement. Think of coquette like this. Imagine you and a friend need to agree on a secret password to open a safe. Instead of shouting the password across the room where an eavesdropper might hear it, you send a series of special, fragile crystals. Each crystal is oriented in a specific direction, representing a 1 or a 0. If an eavesdropper, let's call her Eve, tries to intercept a crystal to see its orientation, the very act of measuring it shatters it. You would see that some crystals arrived broken and know your line was compromised. You'd simply discard that attempt and start over until a full, secret password gets through perfectly intact. The Hyperspace Project took this concept and launched it into space. They used single particles of light photons as their crystals and a satellite as a trusted relay. By beaming these quantum bits, or qubits, between continents, they created a shared, secret key with absolute, physics-guaranteed security. This wasn't security based on mathematical difficulty. It was security based on the fundamental laws of observation and measurement in quantum mechanics. Eve, the eavesdropper, couldn't listen without destroying the message. Her very presence would cast a shadow, instantly revealing her. This historic demonstration wasn't just another successful experiment. It was the blueprint, the very first architectural drawing for a global quantum internet. So, let's dive deeper into the magic that makes this all possible. At its heart is a phenomenon so strange that Einstein himself called it spooky action at a distance. It's called quantum entanglement. I want you to imagine you have a pair of magic coins. These coins are special. They are intrinsically linked. You give one coin to a friend and you keep the other. Your friend then travels to the other side of the universe. Now, you flip your coin. It lands on heads. The moment, the very instant it lands, you know, with 100% certainty, that your friend's coin has just landed on tails. There's no signal sent between them, no hidden communication. They are two separate objects that behave as a single, unified system, regardless of the distance separating them. This is entanglement. Physicists can create pairs of photons that are entangled in this way. Their properties, like their polarization, the direction, their light wave wiggles, are perfectly correlated. If one is measured as vertical, its entangled twin, no matter where it is, will instantly be horizontal. Now, how does this create an unhackable key? The sender Alice and the receiver Bob each get one photon from many entangled pairs. They both measure the polarization of their photons in a random sequence of ways. Afterward, they communicate over a classical channel like a regular phone call and compare which types of measurements they made, but not the results. They discard all the measurements that don't match up. What's left is a sequence of results, a string of 1 second and OS, that is perfectly mirrored between them. This is their unbreakable encryption key. Here's the genius part. If our spy, Eve, tries to intercept and measure a photon on its way to Bob, she breaks the entanglement. The spooky action at a distance is severed. When Alice and Bob later compare a small sample of their key to check for errors, they will find inconsistencies. Eve's snooping leaves unmistakable fingerprints all over the quantum state. They will know the key is compromised, discard it, and generate a new one. The key is never transmitted. It is created in two places at once. You cannot copy it, you cannot predict it, and you cannot observe it without destroying it. This is the physics of perfect privacy. The success of the Hyperspace Project in 2025 didn't just earn its creators a Nobel Prize, it fired the starting pistol on a new global race, a technological marathon with the future of security and power as the prize. This wasn't a race for territory or resources, but for control of the very fabric of future communication. China, who had already been a pioneer in the field, doubled down on its efforts. Their Misha satellite, launched years earlier, was the spiritual predecessor to the hyperspace network. On the ground, they were already building what they called a quantum backbone, a sprawling 2,000-kilometer network of secure fiber optic cable linking major cities like Beijing and Shanghai. They weren't just experimenting, they were deploying. Not to be outdone, the European Union galvanized its member states under the Quantum Internet Alliance. With a war chest of over 1 billion euros, their mission was clear and audacious: achieve full quantum interconnectivity across the continent by 2030. This was a project on the scale of building the railways or the electrical grid, a foundational piece of 21st century infrastructure. In the United States, a more distributed but equally potent effort was underway, spearheaded by agencies like NASA and the Department of Energy. Their national labs, which had birthed the atomic age, were now tasked with mastering the quantum realm, developing quantum repeaters and memory banks essential for a long-distance network. And this wasn't just a game for superpowers. The private sector exploded with activity. Companies like ID Quantique in Switzerland, tech giant Toshiba in Japan, and innovative startups like Magic Q began the crucial work of commercializing this technology. They were building the real-world devices, the quantum modems, routers, and switches that would bring this power out of the lab and into our banks, hospitals, and eventually, our homes. What emerged was a vision for a hybrid internet. The quantum internet wouldn't replace the classical one we use today. Your Netflix stream and social media feeds don't need this level of security. They would continue to travel over traditional fiber optics. But when you went to log into your bank, access your medical records, or cast a secure vote, your data would be seamlessly routed onto the quantum network, wrapped in a cloak of physical invulnerability. The two systems would coexist, with the quantum layer acting as the ultimate vault for humanity's most sensitive information. The roadmap laid out in the wake of these early successes was breathtaking in its ambition. It was a step-by-step plan to re-architect the world's digital foundation. By 2026, the goal was to have robust regional quantum networks operational. Imagine a secure network connecting all the major financial institutions in New York City, or one protecting the critical infrastructure of Tokyo. These quantum metropolitan area networks would be the first real-world testbeds, proving the technology's reliability on a city-wide scale. By 2028, the focus would shift to linking these regional hubs, creating the first truly intercontinental connections. The experimental link from the Hyperspace Project would become a multi-lane superhighway, with quantum satellites forming a constellation of secure nodes in the sky, bouncing entangled photons between continents as easily as we bounce radio waves today. And by 2030, the ultimate vision: full worldwide coverage. A global mesh of ground-based fiber and satellite links, creating a single interoperable quantum internet. To make this happen, international organizations, like the International Telecommunication Union, began the painstaking work of defining global standards. How would a quantum bit from China's network be understood by Europe's? What protocols would govern cross-border data transfer? This multi-billion-dollar global investment was about far more than just stopping hackers. It was about creating the first truly global system of communication built on a foundation of trust. In a world increasingly fractured by digital mistrust, fake news, and cyber warfare, the quantum internet represented a radical idea: that we could build a digital world where the integrity of a message was as reliable as the law of gravity. It was a project to redesign the internet's very soul. As this network begins to snake its way across the globe, it will do more than protect our data. It will fundamentally rewire the balance of power in our society. The consequences are staggering to contemplate. Consider mass surveillance. The business model of harvesting vast amounts of personal data and the methodology of governments monitoring entire populations simply cease to be possible. When communication is physically private, you cannot build a dragnet. The entire economic engine of surveillance capitalism, which powers some of the largest companies on Earth, would be forced to find a new model. The power dynamic would shift from the corporation and the state back to the individual. Think about our financial systems. Today, banks and credit card companies spend billions of dollars a year fighting fraud. In a quantum-secured world, financial fraud of the kind we know, intercepting transactions, stealing card numbers, becomes impossible. Cryptocurrencies, often plagued by exchange hacks and stolen wallets, could finally achieve their promise of truly secure, decentralized finance. The entire concept of digital theft would have to be reinvented. Now, think about the vulnerable. For journalists working to expose corruption, for activists organizing under oppressive regimes, for whistleblowers trying to bring truth to light, the quantum internet is more than a tool. It's a shield. It offers a promise of communication without fear of interception or retribution. It would empower dissent and protect the free press in a way no law ever could. The revolution would touch every part of our lives. Medicine, where the sanctity of patient data is paramount, could share research and patient files globally with absolute confidence. Politics, where elections could be held with verifiable, unhackable voting systems, could see a restoration of trust. Our very definition of human rights in the digital age would evolve. Privacy would no longer be a privilege you fight for or a setting you have to toggle on. It would be a natural, inalienable property of your existence, as fundamental as your own consciousness. But this quantum utopia will not be built overnight, and the path forward is riddled with immense challenges. The same fragility that makes quantum communication so secure also makes it incredibly difficult to build. The first major hurdle is photon loss and decoherence. Photons, our quantum messengers, are easily lost or absorbed over long distances in fiber optic cables. In the delicate quantum state of entanglement, that spooky connection is incredibly fragile. The slightest bit of environmental noise, a stray magnetic field, or a change in temperature can cause it to disappear, breaking the link. This is why satellites are so crucial for long distances, but even they are not a perfect solution. Building reliable quantum repeaters devices that can catch and retransmit a quantum state without destroying it is one of the greatest engineering challenges of our time. Then there is the astronomical cost. Building a global quantum network is one of the most expensive infrastructure projects humanity has ever conceived. The satellites, the cryogenic cooling systems, the hyper-specialized fiber, the single photon detectors, it all costs a fortune. This raises a critical question of equity. Will the quantum internet create a new, quantum divide, where the rich and powerful enjoy perfect privacy, while the rest of us are left on the old, vulnerable, classical internet? Finally, even if the physics is perfect, the implementation is human. The quantum channel itself might be unhackable, but the system is only as strong as its weakest link. A vulnerability in the software that runs the network, a poorly secured endpoint computer, or a clever side-channel attack like analyzing the power consumption of a device to infer the data it's processing could still compromise the system. The laws of quantum mechanics can't protect against a password written on a sticky note. The chain of trust is still forged by both quantum physics and human diligence. The road is clear, but it is steep, expensive, and paved with 1,000 potential points of failure. So, where does this leave us? As these quantum networks begin to flicker to life, spreading from city to city and continent to continent, we are undeniably entering a new era. An era where the foundation of our digital lives is shifting from complex, breakable math to the unbreakable laws of the universe. Privacy is no longer a policy written by a company or a right granted by a government. It is becoming a feature of reality itself. The world this technology will create is one where digital exploitation, mass data mining, and the chilling effect of constant surveillance could begin to fade into memory, like archaic remnants of a less civilized time. The quantum internet doesn't just promise to protect our data, it promises to restore a sense of individual autonomy and freedom in an age that has seen it relentlessly eroded. The message is clear: the future of privacy is quantum, and it's arriving faster than anyone expected. But the story of the quantum internet isn't just a story about technology, it's a story about us. It's about what we value. This incredible breakthrough forces us to ask ourselves some profound questions. The first lesson is that privacy is not an add-on. It is a foundation. For decades, we built our digital world with security as an afterthought, and we are paying the price. This new chapter teaches us to build our future systems with trust and privacy embedded at the most fundamental level. The second lesson is that technology is always a reflection of our values. The same quantum mechanics that can create an unhackable internet can also be used to build computers that break all current encryption. It is a powerful, double-edged sword. It's up to us to wield it wisely, to build a future that empowers and protects the individual, rather than one that controls and exploits. So, what can we do here right now, before this quantum future fully arrives? We can start by treating our own privacy as the precious resource it is. We can practice good digital hygiene using strong, unique passwords, enabling two-factor authentication, being mindful of the data we share with apps and services. We can support companies and policies that champion privacy. By valuing our privacy today, we build the cultural foundation necessary to wield the power of the quantum internet responsibly tomorrow. And that brings me to my questions for you. As we stand on the cusp of this new age, what is the first thing you would do, say, or create in a world where you knew your digital communications were absolutely, perfectly private? And who do you think should ultimately control this technology? Governments, private corporations, or an international, non-profit consortium? I'd love to read your thoughts in the comments below. This is a conversation we all need to have. Thank you for joining me on this journey to the edge of physics and the future of our world. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and take care. And if this journey into the quantum realm sparked your curiosity and made you think, please consider hitting that subscribe button and turning on notifications. We have many more frontiers to explore together. Thank you for watching.